Hi, and thanks for joining me.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I'm Alan from my Narrowboat venture, but today's video isn't about boating. It follows on from a visit I made in April 2022 with my then partner to Northumberland. We visited the National Trust property of Craigside, and the following day we visited Beamish Museum in the county of Durham. After visiting Craigside, quite by chance, we came upon Brinkburn Priory a few miles away. We called in to have a look and found an Augustinian priory in the Gothic style and a manor house. The manor house has been much changed over the years and is undergoing refurbishment. It is empty and there is much work to be done, including installation of new floors, ceilings, replastering, services and so forth. The property is in the care of English Heritage, and I thank them for use of information and floor layouts contained in their guidebook. A very good book, and one I seem to recall purchased at a very reasonable price. It contains lots of interesting pictures and sketches. For anyone interested in architecture, heritage, old buildings, especially ecclesiastical buildings, I would say this is a video that you must watch. I think you'll find it very interesting, because a lot of the architectural details can be seen because the walls have been stripped back and many of the floors are out. I hope you enjoy looking around with me. A lot of jollity down there. Some form of celebration, maybe a wedding. Brinkburn Priory was founded in the 1130s as a community of Augustinian canons. It was one of the first monasteries to be closed at the Dissolution in 1536. The Dissolution was a period predominantly between 1536 and 1541, when Henry VIII disbanded the monasteries and became head of the Church of England, thereby denouncing papal authority. This arose from his divorce from Catherine of Aragon and marriage to Anne Boleyn, which had caused a rift with the Church in Rome. From then on, many monastic buildings were demolished and their lead and stone sold, and as years passed, they would be pillaged by local villagers for what remained of their building materials. This is quite something, isn't it? Wow. What is an Augustinian canon? Originally, a canon was a cleric living with others in a clergy house or within the precinct of a cathedral, conducting his life according to the customary discipline or rules of the church. This way of life was first documented in the 8th century AD. In the 11th century, some churches required clergy living together to adopt the rule proposed by St. Augustine that they renounce private wealth. Those who embraced this change were known as Augustinian canons or canons regular, whilst those who did not were known as secular canons. After the dissolution, the priory church was used short-term as the parish church, while parts of the monastic buildings were adapted to form a manor house. The church rapidly deteriorated and after years of neglect it was re-roofed and restored in the mid-19th century. Today it is considered one of the finest examples of early Gothic architecture in Northumberland. The organ of 1868 was built by William Hill, one of the most significant English organ builders of the century. It was the gift of Sir William Armstrong, the Tyneside industrialist of nearby Cragside. In 1866, Sir William had donated the priory bells. Building of the church began in the late 12th century and is thought to have been finished in the early decades of the 13th century. At this time, architecture was changing, moving away from the round-arched Romanesque style, known as Norman in England, to the pointed arched buildings of the Gothic style, this often being called Early English. As now, there were no pews for worshippers. The open view we see today would not have been like it in medieval times. There would have been screens of stone or timber dividing up the space for different uses. The manor house also underwent much alteration in the 19th century and remained a family home until 1953. The house is in poor condition internally due to extensive dry rot in the 1950s. Only the ground and basement floors are accessible at the moment, much reinstatement work still needing to be done to the upper floors. This side of the house was demolished and rebuilt in the 1830s to provide more reception rooms and bedrooms, and improved service accommodation. These areas are shown blue on the plan. Three-storey part of the house here. We've got two fireplaces, which suggests this was also 2 rooms at one stage. Got quite a big lintel over the top of each of them. And over here we have what looks to have been a little fireplace. It looks as though something was written here, but I can't quite make out what it is. There's certainly a lot of restoration work to be done. We can see the sockets for the supporting floor joists. A lot of work has gone on here. The whole floor upstairs has been renewed. Blocked in fireplace there. And there's one on the other side as well. Suggests it could have been 2 rooms at one time. We're looking out on the riverside of the property, and shortly we'll go outside. You can see where many changes have been made over the years. I'll come back to the lavatorium in a moment, once we've looked around the library. you can again see there have been lots of changes. I like the arched windows, and part of a decorative lath and plaster ceiling remains.
You can see where the opening here has been altered. This would probably have had some wood panelling attached to it. Would have been a whole wall of wood panelling.
This fireplace is akin to the 1930s style. And here we have another opening which has been bricked up.
And over here again, it's very different. We can see where a doorway has been blocked in. Been many changes over the years, and here again is where there would have been a doorway.
Back into the hallway now to look at the lavatorium. This was recessed into the archway and housed the communal washing trough used by the canons before meals, their refectory being adjacent. We're now entering the drawing room, which has a semicircular bay window overlooking the grounds. This seems quite a pleasant room to me. Another bay looks towards the river, and some original wood panelling remains. And now let's go outside. We have a view of the southern side of the priory, and ahead, where the bench is, would have been the chapter house. I think the manor house looks quite impressive from this side, this being the older part of the house, adapted from the original monastic buildings. The river is now to my right, and you can hear the rush of the water. This was a handy way to get out to the riverbank.
This is quite an interesting bell behind me. Seems to be made of copper. It's very interesting, isn't it? Wasn't expecting the house to be like it is though. Hadn't realised it had been stripped out and is being restored in that way. Externally, the structure of the building is very good. I expect the roofs have had a problem, but all we're seeing is the inside on the ground floor. It's nonetheless very interesting.
We can see under the staircase here and right through to the ceiling on the upper floor.
It would have been quite a residence in its day. Another staircase here ahead of us. Nearly missed this part. Wow.
The kitchen and other service areas of the house were located here in the basement.
New flooring again. Let me out. Let me out, I hear you cry. That's rigid, that one. Let me out. Oh, lovely. Ah, lovely old range. That's fantastic. It was made in Newcastle on Tyne by H. Walker and Son Limited. Isn't that wonderful? This is some form of regulator. Can't quite read what it says. Dry something regulator. Dry regulator, medium, fast. Presumably that says slow. Isn't that wonderful? It is. It truly is lovely. There's some writing on here as well. It says something like the smallest fire possible.
We have actually seen another H. Walker and Son range at Cragside, Sir William Armstrong's home. And whilst I've researched, I've not been able to find out anything about the company.
You can see here the wear on the original steps.
I'm quite impressed with these buildings. The manor house obviously needs a lot of work. I can see part of the new roof. That would have been the first thing to have been done in order to do the work inside. But the exterior walls of both the manor house and the priory are in very good condition, I have to say. Very good indeed. I am impressed, there's no doubt about it. That was something different, which I hope you all enjoyed watching. All that remains for me to say, as usual, is look after yourselves, your friends and families. Take the utmost care. Until next time, bye for now. Bye everyone. Take care.